Welcome to today's episode of David Vs Goliath, a podcast dedicated to helping small businesses leverage technology to not only help them compete against their large competitors, but win. Your host is currently the CEO of Anthem Business Software, a three-time Inc. 500 recipient, and a serial entrepreneur with a passion to help small businesses everywhere find, serve, and keep more customers profitably. Please join me in welcoming your host, Adam DeGraide.
Great day, everyone. It's Adam DeGraide from the David Vs Goliath Podcast. I hope you're having an amazing day, because I am. I spilled coffee everywhere on today's information sheet, but what are you going to do? Today, we're going to be interviewing Bill Boersma from the OC Consulting Group. He has got a couple of audio issues on his side. He was in his second house, but I think it's adequate enough to get through, so hopefully you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed talking to Bill. Today's episode is brought to you by Automate My Social, where if you're a small business, you can automate up to 100% of your social media across all your channels and never have to think about it again. Save time, save money, and save energy at automatemysocial.com. Visit us online at David Vs Goliath Podcast.com. There you can subscribe to receive our newsletter and also apply to be on the podcast. Well, let's get right to it with Bill Boersma. Bill, welcome to the David Vs Goliath Podcast.
Hey, it's good to be here. Thank you.
I'm so glad to have you. I don't know if you can tell, on my way to the studio this morning, this is the sheet that I spilled some coffee on it. And as Rush Limbaugh used to say, formerly nicotine-stained hands, I can say my formerly caffeine-stained hands. Bill, it's great to have you on the podcast. You're the founder and operating principal of OC Consulting Group, a national life insurance consulting practice. And one of the things that I thought was interesting is the fact that you're a for-fee life insurance practice. So in other words, you don't just make commissions on the selling of the life insurance. People hire you as a consultant. Is that correct in assuming, am I stating that correctly? For the folks, tell them exactly what OC Consulting Group does.
Yeah, so it is a fee-based life insurance consulting practice. I started it almost 20 years ago now. I've been in the industry a lot longer, but it's not unheard of, but it is a rather unique a model in the industry. Yeah, you don't see a lot of people doing it that way, where the advisor market is bringing me in for this kind of work for their clients and looking for that third-party, independent, objective source of information.
You know, that's interesting because I recently have gone through a bunch of life insurance stuff. I had a major transaction again in my business. I sold one of my businesses in 2020, and that obviously created a need because the net worth went up, and then you have to create a need for life insurance to balance all those things off. And we actually did hire, I wish I knew you because at the time I didn't know you. We ended up hiring an independent as well that came alongside of the providers of the life insurance to help us structure it, whether it would be with our family trusts, should it be in our individual names, how do we remove it out, portions of it out of our estate, all those different types of things. So I would imagine for the Washington listener, that's kind of what you do. How did you get into this space? I'm always fascinated to learn how people do that.
Well, I've been in the industry for over 30 years now, and way back when it was, I can't say I grew up and said, hey, I want to be a life insurance guy. I kind of defaulted into the industry in a way, partly through an extended family member who was in the industry. And so one thing leads to another, and it was about 12 years later, that some things were going on in the market that I started noticing and said, oh, hey, if this is real, people need to understand it, be more aware of it. And so I kind of changed my frankly, rather than change, I developed a new practice. I have a few different practices in the industry. And so I started working much more closely with the advisory community, attorneys, accountants, family offices, trustees. So they're the ones who I try to educate.
Do they ever bring you in, if there's I'm working with a CPA firm right now that specializes in fiduciary accounting and trying to help protect families on their estate side from their family members suing them when the program is set up the right way. And obviously they go to court and there's mitigation and mediation. Are you also brought into those types of situations as well too?
There's almost nothing you can imagine regarding life insurance that somewhere some advisor across the country is not bringing me in to deal with. I mean, I literally don't know if I could think about anything regarding life insurance that somebody's not bringing me in about. And lately litigation support and expert witness work is the fastest growing part of my practice, due to some niches in the market where things aren't going exactly right.
Yeah, I would imagine portfolios shrink by 33%. You've got a problem, with the potential way it was structured. The family members going, wait a minute, I don't want to manage that this way. This isn't fair to me. This is mine now. And obviously they don't realize how things are structured. And I can imagine that creates challenges. So when you decided to start, how old were you when you first decided to start your own business?
What was that? What was I doing then? Or
no, like how old were you when you decided to start your first business?
Oh, okay. Well, I got into the industry when I was 24. So, I was 24 years old. I'll be turning 55 next month. Oh, no, later this month, sorry. So 24 is when I came into the industry. At that point, in a way, you could call yourself a business owner, and I suppose I was, because it was 100% commission at the time, and some fee-based back then. But it was about 4 years later where I really had my own company, and then developed a couple of different companies in this market over the years. So let's just say early to mid 20s.
That's awesome. It's almost like my timeline. I started my first business, I think I was 26, 27, something like that.
In this business too. I mean, I don't think that I can ever remember a time, not very many times in my life, that I actually worked for somebody. I mean, we're going back to junior high and high school and college, where I was always doing something, whether it was lawn maintenance, painting, you name it. So I kind of had that mentality from the beginning.
I love it. We're going to have to take our first break from our corporate sponsor, Automate My Social. But when we come back with Bill, it's going to get really exciting here. We're going to fix Bill's audio problems. I promise you, watchers and listeners. Everyone stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Do you own a business? Do you have or need a social media presence? If you are like most businesses, you spend either no time or too much time and money on your social media strategy, spending thousands of dollars per month only to get mediocre and inconsistent results. This leads to frustration and, in some cases, sleepless nights. Introducing AutomateMySocial.com. Automate 90% of your social media and never have to think about it again. That's right. Automate your business's social media posting and strategy like forever. Automate the essentials and customize only what's needed. Save time, save money, and get better results with AutomateMySocial.com. Our patent-pending technology gives you the ability to automatically create your social post and distribute them immediately, like in seconds, across all your social media platforms. Stop the madness of paying someone to create, post, and manage your strategy, and let our software do the work, so you don't have to. Oh, and if you're an agency or social media manager, you too can let our software do all the work, and you can get all the credit. It will be our little secret. With AutomateMySocial.com, you can have it all. It's easy to use, never complains, and never asks for time off or more benefits. See this amazing new software application at AutomateMySocial.com. If you own a business or manage client social media and want to save time, energy, money, all while increasing your return on investment, then let's get this party started at AutomateMySocial.com.
And we're back, and we fixed Bill's audio issues, at least to help you guys get through the episode without wanting to rip your head off. And I love the stories of people, how they start their businesses. I really love, the life journey from, being a young man, working different jobs. I was a paper boy. I was a dairy stock shelf guy. I installed carpets. I mean, you name it. I basically, like you said, you've been everywhere in insurance. I pretty much have done almost every job you can imagine. You had the same type of thing. But one of the things that I thought was interesting here that people don't often realize is that there's fun things that you do in your life as well. You're not just only doing life insurance. And I was fascinated because you have a number of hobbies, it says here. One of them was canning. and salsa and applesauce and jams. My grandmother was a massive canner. She canned some of the grossest foods in the world. No offense, Grandma, God rest her soul. But she also canned some really good stuff too. And my mom did it for a while. How did you get into that? It's a fascinating hobby.
This is not something I got from my mother or grandmother. Don't ask me exactly how I got into that kind of stuff, but salsas, applesauces, jams, you name it. And whenever I do something, I like to do it big. So I'm using 40-quart stock pots and making 100 jars of something at a time. Just it's fun. I like creating processes and making stuff.
Do you find that hobby passion of yours can spill over even into your work ethic?
I think that when you have it, regardless. I mean, everybody has different personality traits. They have different drives. And so when I find something I like, you get to go whole hog into it, whether it's personal, whether it's family, whether it's business.
I love that. And for me, one of my hobbies right now is golf. And during the COVID years, I was playing like 4 times a week. I haven't played now in almost a month and a half. And but I got down to a 6 handicap when I was playing. Now I'm back up to I'm playing. I'll shoot 94 one game, and then 2 weeks later I'll shoot a 75. So it's like I'm all over the map. Inconsistency, practice is the key. And so when it comes to your business and dealing with life insurance and trying to proactively help people as you're consulting them, not run into these issues that sometimes you're brought in to solve. How do you do that? Like, so with a typical client, a lot of your clients, I would imagine, would be lawyers and also other firms that are working on estate planning. Do you have direct clients as well too?
Yeah, so I'm introduced to my clients or brought in by the professional advisor community. But very often, I'm ultimately working and engaging directly with the consumer, with the policy owner. There's a lot of different models. So at the end of the day, I'm going to work the way the advisor and the client want me to work with them. Sometimes it's hand in hand, at every step of the way, and sometimes it's an introduction. Bill, here's somebody expecting your call. Run with it.
Got it. Yeah. So that's exactly what the guy that I use during my process of evaluating it as well too. It's good to get a third party, view as to what's trying to be sold to you or being recommended to you. Because obviously with tax ramifications, your state ramifications, all these things come into play, and how you structure life insurance matters big time, especially if you're dealing with multiple millions of dollars. Are many of your clients, are they all over the map in size, or do you specialize in high net worth individuals?
It is actually all over the map. I mean, in general, it's high net worth individuals, mostly business owners, a number of high level executives in doctors and surgeons. But for my 30-year career, it's mostly been the owners of closely held companies. And those companies are anywhere from mom and pop companies to individuals and families on the Forbes billionaire list. So it runs the gamut, that's for sure.
If you were going to ballpark how many people you've helped in your career, you're 55 now, you're started around 26, 27, somewhere in that vicinity, call it basically half your life. How many people have you served?
Man, I've never even thought about that. Now, I would probably say it's going to be in the hundreds, not the thousands, because of the nature of the beast of my practice. It tends to be a smaller number of very large situations as opposed to high volume. So but maybe I'd be surprised. But when you think about it, even if it's 500, 600, that's a lot of people. I was thinking about it the other day. I was laying in bed and I was like, I've helped almost over 5,000 small businesses grow their business, myself and my businesses. And probably 80% of them would work with me again, and that's pretty good in the field that that I'm involved in with, CRM and marketing and stuff like that. But obviously the 20%, you kind of kick yourself, right? Like, man, what could I have done differently? Did we make mistakes? Did they make mistakes? All those things that you think about. Is the same thing for you? I mean, if you were to think about your hundreds of clients, what percentage of them do you think would do it again with you? I have to imagine that it'd be an overwhelming majority. Of course, you're never going to hit 100%, and sometimes that's for reasons that you can control, and sometimes it's for reasons you can't control. But I think I've been, kind of pretty good at ignoring that type of thing, because there's no real value, there's no productivity in dealing with it, and sometimes it's because I've brought news that people don't want to hear. But totally. That in of itself is a huge value. Just because you don't want to hear it doesn't mean I did anything wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, just because it's the truth, don't shoot the messenger, so to speak. Well, we're going to take another break. We're going to take another break from another awesome sponsor here on the David Vs Goliath. You're with Adam DeGraide, your handsome host, Bill from OC Consulting Group. I hope I'm saying that right. I think I am saying that right. And we'll be right back to talk about what it takes to have the courage to start your own business. We'll be right back.
Northeast Capital has an exciting new program we offer to equipment and software dealers. It provides you the appearance of a private label captive financing program. We call it Our Financial Services. Using Our Financial Services, you can offer your customers your own financing program, including industry-specific payment calculators and unique payment options. Northeast Capital administers a private label program tailored to you and your customers' needs. Learn how we can help you reduce receivables and qualify for your own private label finance program.
And we're back with the salsa canning master of the universe, Bill. Bill, it's great to have you so far. One of the things I love that you said on the sheet was your mantra. Tell the watchers and listeners one of your mantras.
I think you're referring to kind of my attitude in life, that if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing, which sometimes I say is a joke when people kind of roll their eyes at me. But you think about it, and if it's something you really enjoy, you really think it's worthwhile, maybe that's reality.
I've got 16 guitars, a bunch of instruments. I make recording albums as a hobby and also as a small business myself. I definitely overdo it. My wife will tell you. I literally can't stop writing music. I'm releasing a piano and string quartet album, my number 2 album coming up. I'm releasing a full EP tomorrow when this is being recorded on Cinco de Mayo, full LP, 20 songs, hard rock songs about video game characters. I've got a new single coming out in July. I play golf. I work like a freak. People are like, when do you sleep? I sleep great. I go to bed anywhere from 9:30 to 11, and I wake up every day between 6:30 and 7:30, and then I am on the rest of the day. Every once in a while, I take a little bit of a nap, but I love the idea of passion. What your mantra speaks to is passion, right? And every business owner has to have it. What gave you in your life's experience? Do you think you inherited that trait? Did you learn that trait? Tell the watchers and listeners what gave you that passion, that overdoing passion to just go out and crush it.
Well, again, you're asking me all these questions. Never really stopped and thought about it or asked myself before. And, I don't know. This is just me talking, but I don't know if this is something that, that you'll learn. I think it's something that you're born with. Now, some people will say that's a flaw, and others will say it's an asset. I guess it all depends on who you're talking to and what you're talking about. But I can understand you can see it both ways.
Totally. And my name is Adam David DeGraide. My initials are ADD. Doctors tried to drug me up. I wouldn't let them drug me up because ADD is a gift. And I tell people all the time, the concept of the Windows Microsoft operating system was based on my brain, the ability to have a lot of things going on and different windows open at a time. Some people can't do that, but for whatever reason, God gave me that gift. What gave you the courage, though, to start your own business, versus going to work in somebody else's firm? What was that intangible in you that helped you do that?
Yeah, that part I probably would go back to my parents. My mother's a pretty driven individual, never a professional or business owner, but still, a pretty driven individual. And so some of the things that I would think about in my past is like, okay, I did that. And I go, well, maybe I did. Maybe that's something she nudged me into. So it's the environment that you grow up in. And then it's the experiences that you get out of that. And then ultimately, maybe it's experiences that you have that you go, hey, this isn't what I particularly like. So I don't want to, work this way or for that person, or I want to have a little bit of, more autonomy and control.
I like that.
And it's not all smooth sailing all the time. And I have people who look at me and say, I just, or any entrepreneur or business owner's like, no. I need a little bit more of a level keel, know what I'm going to be making every year. And I go, I get that. It's nice, but I don't know if that's quite as exciting.
It's not as exciting. And when you mentioned your mom's drivenness, I could sense a 10-year-old version of yourself remembering some of the driving things that you would do to make you do, to get yourself going. And you have to thank your mom. My mom was the reason why I played music in the first place. She forced me to. Basically with a knife to my throat. Not literally, Mom. I know you didn't. But figuratively, it felt like there was a gun to my head. But thank God she did, because it's one of the greatest joys of my life. And that's awesome that you learned that trait from your mom. Now, we're going to close up this week's episode, but I want people to be able to find you. Because if you're a business owner and you're dealing with life insurance and estate planning, and you have a lawyer that you're working with and a CPA firm to help you with all this stuff, don't forget that you need to have somebody like Bill involved in this process as well, too. Bill, how can they find you online?
So the main website is OC, www.oc-lic.com, oc-lic.com. So, it's pretty straightforward there. I have a couple of different websites, but they're all available and connected to that particular one, including my blog and others. So it's probably, kind of pointless listing them all out. But OC.
Are you on LinkedIn as well? Are you on LinkedIn? Can they find you on LinkedIn?
Absolutely. On LinkedIn.
Bill Boersma. Boersma. And you spell that B-O...
Boersma. Boersma. There's a couple of different ways. It's a good Dutch name.
I love it, by the way. It's been great having you on the podcast. And have you subscribed to the podcast yet?
I have.
Make sure you do.
Thank you. Nope, I figured that. You know what? I did watch one, and then that's one of the first questions you asked the guy, and I said, "Oh Lord, if he's going to ask me that, I better be able to say yes." So, well,
it's funny. I realized about halfway into it that I wasn't really asking people to subscribe, but we've done pretty well. We were almost up to like 1,600 on YouTube. We've got almost 13,000 on Rumble. Hundreds more on Spotify, iHeartRadio. It's been a lot of fun, and I really enjoy, talking with small business owners who are crushing their giant in their market, where we get inspiration, activation, and education here on the David Vs Goliath podcast. Bill, have you had fun being on here?
I have. This has been a good experience. Thank you very much, Adam.
And when we get him back, folks, his microphone will be perfect next time. And we really appreciate your time. For the watchers and listeners, thanks once again for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Have an awesome day.